Greetings, people of the internet. Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. You know, it almost wasn't a Merry Christmas for Unky Joe's Playhouse, and I'm about to tell you why. So yeah, it was almost not a Merry Christmas here for Unky Joe's Playhouse. If you listen closely, you'll notice something is missing. The beep, beep, beeping of the battery backup, and that's what this video is about today. Well, that and maintenance on your system. You know, I make it look easy here with the rack and everything, and all the toys we have to play with here at Unky Joe's workshop. But you also have to keep in mind that things break, and they break on a pretty regular basis. And one of those things that break on a pretty regular basis every 2 to 3 years are your battery backups. So when you go out and buy a battery backup, a UPS, keep in mind that you're going to have recurring costs on that device. And one of the most expensive parts of any battery backup unit is the battery itself. Now, if memory serves me correctly, and look, I have a new system now. Every time I replace a battery, I print a little label out on the date it was replaced so that I get a general idea of when a battery is about to fail, because frankly, this battery took me by surprise. And I'm talking about the battery on my APC 1500 unit from Schneider, or APC they used to be called. And as you know, that's a big battery. It requires an RBC7, which is 2 batteries in parallel, because it's a 24-volt system, not a 12-volt system. Yeah, you put them in parallel. No, you put them in parallel for current. You put them in series for voltage. So these batteries are wired in series, and they're not cheap. They're about if you go to APC and get them, they're about $145. But that's not the worst part of it. The worst part of it is that you also have shipping to pay on top of that. And because it's such a heavy item, they typically weigh, 20, 30 pounds, depending on the unit you have. But they have to be maintained like everything else. And I think the battery we had on here, I last replaced about 3 years ago. Now, keep in mind, this UPS made it through the winter of 2021. As you know here, if you're a regular viewer of Unky Joe's Playhouse, that we had a pretty serious freeze and power outage for about a week here in the month of December of 2021. So that UPS was doing its best to keep the machines up and running as long as it could. That put a lot of strain on the battery. So 3 years for a UPS battery, that's about average. That's about what I average. It's a good average. So I have now put a label on this UPS. I've got the battery replaced, and what the video today is about is me showing you how exactly I replaced that. So I'm babbling. Let's get the video started right now. So the first thing I need to do is shut down all my machines and equipment in the rack, and that's going to present a problem because I'm recording through OBS onto the Synology Flash Station 1018. So I'm temporarily going to switch that over to a local drive so I can continue to record, and hopefully this won't affect it. So I'm going to go do that now. All right, so here I am on the other side. So first things first, let's get Prometheus shut down. So I need to come over here and connect up to Prometheus. So we'll enter my super secret password. Bring Prometheus over here. Here he is. Okay. So I got quite a bit of stuff running on Prometheus, and one of those is my surveillance system. So I'm going to come up here and log out of my surveillance system. Let's see here. Log out. Okay, so now we're logged out. I also have Fork running for my server for Minecraft. So I'm going to go ahead and shut that down and close it. And then I have Home Assistant up and running here. So I'm just going to go to Machine and do ACPI Shutdown. Now Blue Iris is a little more tricky It's not tricky. It's just a couple of steps to get it to shut down. So you have to actually go into Blue Iris, because I've got Blue Iris set up to run as a service. I have to go into the application. We're going to be fixing something else here. You notice I have no front door camera anymore. Thank you, Reolink, but we'll be doing a separate video on that. But the point is I have to come up here to Settings, go to Startup, and then uncheck that Run as a Windows Service. And then what that should do is then close the Blue Iris software. For right now, all I want to do is go ahead and power off this machine. So I'm going to shut it down. Okay, so there it goes. The other thing I need to do is shut down my firewall. So we'll go ahead and log into pfSense, as it's what I'm using. Go ahead and sign in, come over here to Diagnostics and Halt. Where is Halt? Halt System. Click on Halt, click on OK. And that should shut down my pfSense. Then the next one I'm going to do is my Synology Flash Station, because I've got some virtual machines up and running on there. Go ahead and log in. I've got a Docker container running on there, which is Pi-hole. So I need to turn that off. And that's done. And then I need to go into Virtual Machine Manager. And I've got 3 virtual machines I need to shut down. So the first one I'll do is my Windows 7. Then I'll do my monitoring machine, which is a Windows 2019 server. And then we'll shut down our 3CX phone system. And then I think I'm safe to shut this flash station down. So there it is. It's powered off. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shut down. Yeah. There are no SCSI targets connected right now, so let's wait for that to shut down. And then let's go ahead and go on to our Synology Flash or Disk Station 1621. I'll go ahead and log into that. And I don't think I have any VMs running. Oh, it is running data scrubbing, though. Uh-oh. I don't know that I can shut it down while it's doing data scrubbing. I don't have a choice. I've got to, let's see. Let's shut down. And it'll just have to resume its data scrubbing after I've restarted everything. Now the only 3 items I have left in the rack that are not shut. Oh, my domain controller. Got to shut that off as well. Huh. So we'll let that power off, and then we'll go to DC01. So let me just type that in, DC01. Dyslexia strikes again. All right, we'll go ahead and shut this down. And then my rack should be dark. And now I should have lost internet connectivity, and we should be able to power down the rest of the rack. So you'll have to pardon the audio quality, but here I am on the rack, and you can see I've only got, my 10 gig switch, my 1 gig switch, and my PoE switch are up and running. That is my pfSense firewall. It is not currently running. It is shut down, even though you see the flashy lights. Prometheus is shut down. DC1 is shut down. The 1621. Now, a person should probably take this opportunity to go ahead and blow out my servers, my rack servers, while I've got everything shut down, but that's not going to happen. They run better with dust, so keep that in mind. This is what I'm faced with, though. So I've got this UPS that is telling me, hey, the battery's bad. You know what? I am so tired of hearing it beep that I'm going to do this. Ah! Listen. Silence. Wow. Silence. Except for my telco rack. So the other thing I'm going to do after I replace the UPS is put one of these in, thanks to John's touchpad, I believe it is, who donated these to me. And I'm going to, this way I can monitor the current that my rack uses. Now eventually I'll replace this with a TP-Link smart switch, smart plug, which will do the power monitoring for me, so that I can keep track of my power consumption. And then I've got a lot of stuff in here. I use this room for storage as well. My telco rack's over here. So I'm going to go wrestle this beast out of here because it's pretty heavy, and I'm an old guy and I'm out of shape. But I'm going to wrestle this out of here, and then we'll get it on the bench, and then we'll get the battery replaced and test it. Okay, so there's no need to see my handsome face on this video. But I'm going to show you how I replace the battery in this unit. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to this. I hate replacing batteries. On the back of this unit is a plug. I guess I could flip it around now. Yeah. So on the back of this unit, and thanks again to John's touchpad. You see this card in here? This is so my UPS can communicate with my network, and my Synology NAS can shut itself down when it detects a battery failure. And then all these plugs back here are battery backup protected. But there's a little plug right here. And it's very important before you replace a battery, or before you do any maintenance on these at all, there are potentially shock hazards in here, so be aware of that. But this little plug right here, if you just pull that off, that effectively disconnects the battery from all the internal components, so that it, you know, there's not quite as big a chance of you getting the piss shocked out of you. So just keep that in mind. Now in this unit also is a fan right here. So what we may do is, once I get this thing open, is to blow it out. Honestly, I should take the damn thing apart and clean it out, but I'm not in the mood to do that. Maybe we'll do that after the first of the year. But basically there's two parts here. There's two little indentations. And typically, I think what I'm going to do is just take a screwdriver, because my hands, I don't feel so well with my hands. So I'm just going to put this in here and pry a little bit to get this front cover off. And then there's a lip. So once you get the front cover off, just lift the UPS, and there's a little lip. Now be very careful when you do this, because this ribbon cable can be damaged. You just fold that back, and then there's a couple of screws that I need to take out. They're Phillips head screws, and then inside there will be the battery. So let's do that. You know, I haven't charged this little thing since I got it. I got it about a year ago for Christmas. It just, you know, keeps working. Don't lose these screws. Okay. Now, be aware that sometimes these batteries, now as I pull this thing down, there is a little plastic piece here that allows you to also pull the batteries out. But I recommend that you take this little metal part off. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, maybe it won't come off. Let's see if we can. No, I know it's got to come off of there. I think it's just, there we go. You got to get it just right. And then here's the batteries. Now, be aware that sometimes these batteries will swell as they recharge and discharge, so be aware of that. They could be a little troublesome to get out of there. The idea is this little plastic tab on the bottom of the batteries is supposed to allow you to just pull it out as a unit like this. Okay? And this is why I go ahead and I buy the kit. A lot of people gave me some flack and said, hey, you know, if you just order the batteries separately, it's much cheaper. It's not. It's $10 cheaper. And then you got to take this little bridge apart and put it on the new, because there are 2 batteries in here, right? So I'd rather not deal with that. I'd rather pay $10 more and get it. And then in here is a connection. You just pull it apart and bing, bang, boom, there you go. So this battery is a UPC brand, sealed. I got it from upgradepartsco.com. Let's see. I wonder if it's got a date code on it. It's got a warranty void if removed. Let's see if there's a date code anywhere on here. There's another label here. California. Yeah, we don't care about that. We're not in California. No, I don't see a date on here. And then here's that little tab I was telling you about that makes it real easy to pull the battery out. Right? So there's the top of the unit. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to a recycling station. You can't just throw batteries in the trash, and you shouldn't. You can't burn them. You can't take them to the dump. You have to recycle them, and rightly so you should. That way they can turn this into new batteries. So what I'm going to do now is go get the new battery. Then I'll come back and we'll try to put that in. So here's the replacement battery. Now I ordered this from Battery Sharks. It took about a week to get here. 7 days, 5 or 7 days. And they shipped it via UPS, so thank goodness for that. So hopefully UPS didn't bang this around too much. So let's get it out of the box. Check it for damage. Now mind you, my entire network is down right now, so here are my order details. An RBC 7 compatible battery, and it contains 2 BW12 180NB cells. So here's a box, and inside is another box. I'm going to go ahead and just flip it. And flip it. So I wonder how long this has been sitting on a shelf somewhere. Probably not long. I wonder where the battery's made. So this is a Sigmatech battery. The battery's made in Vietnam. It's 24 pounds. So I think what they did is they built this battery out of 2 batteries and put it in this box. So, because look, it doesn't even want to go down. So you can tell it's not just 2 batteries. But I guess they order the batteries and then they put it together into a kit. Yep, that's what they do. Well, looky there. Isn't that nice? Yeah, we'll let you see the battery here in just a second. Thank you, Maddie. You're being a good girl. My dog gets freaked out when I unpackage stuff, and she tried to run out of the room. So I went and got her. All right, so let's get this battery out of this box. Whoa, I hate banging a battery like that. All right, so here we go. So this one has a rope to pull it out. I like that even better than the plastic down below. Get my handy dandy voltmeter out here. Hopefully the battery's still good. I had it on the 20 volt scale, which was wrong. I forget, this is a 24 volt system. Okay, it's 212 volts. The problem is well, no, it's fully charged. It's got 25.6 volts on it. Here, I'll let you see that. We'll just slam these in here real quick. Then I'll show the camera. Oh, it's got 25.6 volts on it. Well, we'll get it to an angle where, there it is. Now can you see it? 25.6 volts. So the battery's fully charged. So that's good. So you got to be careful with batteries. Some that have been sitting on the shelf a while, if they go below a certain voltage and you try to put them into a system, they'll fail. Yeah, and I should, like I said, clean it out inside, but what the hell for? All right, so let me get this battery plugged in the right way. There we go. And I should be able to then just, I'm going to leave that laying up at the top, and then I should be able to finagle this battery in here. So this plug has to go back there. It should just ride on the top. I think that's why they've got this string in here, because you don't want this plug, you don't want it hitting on any electronics. Hang on a second. I'm going to have to. The problem is when you do it like that, it wants to lay on top. So you got to be careful, because there are electronic components in here that this battery connector can hit on. So you got to try and make it lay as flat as you can on the top of the battery while you're pushing the battery back. So let's do that. So we'll try to keep it as flat as we can. There we go. And then push the battery back. Yay, we made it. Now, hopefully, and I'm going to look inside here. I didn't, there's some electrolytic capacitors that hang down from the circuit board, and I want to make sure I didn't hit any of those. And it looks like, nope, I didn't damage anything, so it looks like we're good. Now, the next thing, oh, don't blind yourself with the light, Joe. Next thing is to get this little cover piece on. So that should be good. So now I should just be able to put this little piece in here, and then put this up here, and then I should be able to put the screws in. All right, put the screws in. You know, it's always something, right? Don't tighten one up before you get the other in, because these things like to, for whatever reason. There she goes. Just cross thread her. Nobody cares. Yeah, give her the old cross thread. All right. And then the front cover should be ready to go back on. And keep in mind, you need to, you got this lip here. So I like to, there's a lip right here. So you got to bring this up and put this up in here, and then pop that back on, and that looks good, right? All right, so now the next test, we're going to connect the battery on the back, that little connection we unplugged. Oh, good. No big puff of smoke. That's a good sign. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to plug it in. All right. So here we, oh, look at that. Plug this back in. Looks good. Am I getting a flashing light in the back? Yep, I am. Okay, let's turn it on. Okay, so it shows our battery charge is good. We have no load. So we got no replace battery light, no overload light, no load light. So that's good. It's working. So now the fun part. I drag it back into the server rack room and plug it all back in and hope that my UPS card works as well, because I've been having a little trouble with that. But there is a reset button on the back of that thing that I can reset if I need to. But we'll worry about that when we come to it. All right, so yeah, let's turn it off and let's get this back in the server room. All right, so as you can tell, I'm an old man, I'm out of breath. I got this beast back in its spot, and then I don't have the TP-Link smart switch that monitors the power, so I'm going to temporarily, and you see, because of the way my outlet's configured, this plug would not go in to my outlet without an extension. So right now this thing shows it's pulling 50 to 60 watts, and that's just charging the battery, I'm assuming, keeping it charged. So I'm going to go ahead and fire this thing up, and then I'm going to power up my equipment that I use daily, that is running all the time, 24/7 I should say. And I notice I have to replace my battery in my thermometer. So I'm going to go ahead and press the power button. And then my switches should start powering up. So I'm going to let my switches power up first. And I'm going to see, once they power up, then I'm going to power everything else up. So we had our base reading was 56 watts, and that was just basically trying to charge the battery. So we'll let our switches come up, and then I'll start bringing our firewall up. Oh, I could just start doing that now. I just want to wait and get some lights on our switches, so we'll just stand by here. I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to go ahead and turn the firewall on first. So we'll let that boot up. Now, I just did firmware updates on all my switches last week. I didn't film that because why? Nobody cares. Alright, once I start getting some lights on the switches, there they go. And then we'll wait for... Still no load on the UPS. The load light is on the left. The battery indicator is on the right. I'll be interested to see if we get our actual communication with our UPS shutdown card. Okay, so looks like the switches are up. So let's go ahead and get our domain controller. We'll fire that up. We'll go ahead and get our DS1621. So that's a power up. And our FS1018. There you go. Tell it to power up. And you can see now we have a little bit of a load. And then I guess we can go ahead and fire up Prometheus right here and let him boot up. There we go. And then what I'll do now is I'm going to give it about 5-10 minutes for everything to boot up. Make sure we have internet connectivity and all the internet of things in the house are talking to one another. And then we'll come back and we'll see what kind of power usage we have. And this will be my benchmark now for power usage for my rack. Again, I don't turn those enterprise level servers on down there unless I need them for a specific project. So they won't be drawing current all the time. And as you can see, the load on my UPS is, what, 1 on the light? So we'll see. Alright, wish me luck. Alright, so you can see I've got my load light is going between 1 and 2 LEDs. So now let's look over here. Let me move some stuff out of the way. I got some rails here that I never did use. So, and let me scooch down here now that my UPS is fully loaded and see how much power it's consuming. Sorry about this. Looky there. That is the number of watts, and right there, 406 watts of power consumption. So now that we know how much power our rack is consuming, we can do a calculation based on what it's going to cost us to run this thing. So we're just going to choose the United States, and I'm going to manually type in 400 watts, 24 hours a day. That comes up to 9.6 kilowatt hours per day. And you figure our kilowatt hour costs with all the other associated costs all combined, the delivery fee, the surcharge and all that, it's about 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So let's calculate. So there you go. Just to run that rack, just for basic, the basic needs for my network. And this is not including my workstation here. My workstation's behind me. It's costing me $1.15 per day, or $34.56 per month. So $420.48 per year. That's not too bad, considering all that does in there. That's a cost I can handle. I honestly thought it was going to be more than that. Here we go. Global petrol prices. Let's see what electricity is. So Danish krone. Okay, so household kilowatt hour is, wow. Based on the US dollar in Denmark, it's 30.342. So it's 34 cents. Calculate. Holy moly. That's France. We'll do the US. Sorry. Calculate. So yeah, your energy costs per month in Denmark for my rack alone would run $100 US per month. And that's a calculation. Okay. Now let's see what the price in the UK power rate per kilowatt hour. Let's see here. They have a standing charge. That's regardless of how much you use. So let's say, let's average, let's just say it's 15 pence. So we're going to go to the UK, and it's 15 pence. Calculate. So that's more reasonable. The power prices in the UK are similar to those here in the US. So not too bad. So if you live in the UK, you can afford to run this. If you live in Denmark, wow. I didn't realize your power prices were that high, Morton. But there it is with your own eyes. So there you go. Batteries replaced. It's in, it's working. And now I know how much my rack consumes. I was guessing before. I honestly didn't think it was consuming 400 watts of power. But, everything adds up. And, keep in mind, if you have more than one UPS, you need to plan ahead. If you have one for your PC and one for your rack like I do, and maybe one on the wife's computer somewhere else around the house in your audio video system, you need to allow for every 2 to 3 years that you're going to have to buy perhaps a $30, $40, $50, $80, $100 battery on that unit. Now that I know how much power this rack consumes, I can now go out and size. What I want to do ultimately is run this rack off of solar power. I want to get Actually, it'd be nice if I get my whole office running off of solar power, excluding my mini split air conditioner. In other words, if this room was self-sufficient between solar cells and lithium iron phosphate batteries. But I needed to know what the current draw was, what kind of wattage I draw in my lab 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So just that rack over there was 400 watts. So that way I can do a calculation, see what the panels are going to cost me, see what storage is going to cost me for the batteries, see what an inverter would cost, and then average that out and see how long it would take to pay back the $35 a month I'm consuming in electricity in here. Now that figure, is it 35 or 40? It's one of the two. And that's one of the things to keep in mind. And the costs of power are going up all over the place, both here in the U.S. and overseas. So, in fact, I showed you what Morton is paying for power in Denmark. I just couldn't believe that. It's 4 times what we're paying here in the U.S. It's crazy. The UK, I've got a friend over there, and from what he says, his power costs are pretty similar to what mine are. So, but they're going to continue to go up. And if I'm going to continue to use this level of power, I don't want to be dependent upon the grid, to power that. But we're only talking, what, $400 a year in power consumption? So I've got to do the math, and I gotta make the pencil lead sharp so I can do all the ciphering and stuff to see how long it would take me to recoup an investment on solar on this rack. So there's that. So anyway, I'm glad it's done. You always dread something until you get into it, and then you're like, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Got the battery replaced. Now I've got to dispose of the old battery. And look, you don't have to order these batteries online. I went with a company that I've dealt with before. But if you're in a local, if you're in a big city or around a big city, there's a lot of places now that carry these batteries in stock so that you don't have to pay for shipping. And then you can just take the battery in, they'll match it and exchange it right there and allow you to trade the old battery in so you can dispose of it. So that's what I would recommend if you have that option. But being I'm out in a rural area and I'm just lazy, I just didn't feel like getting in the car and go into a battery store. It probably would have been close to the same cost as it was for the mail order. So, but then UPS wouldn't have anything to do, and that's not very Christmas-like, right? So anyway, we hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. Please give us a like down below, thumbs up. Leave your comments down in the comments section. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and click that notification bell to be notified of new videos when they come out. Donate if you're so inclined. PayPal, Patreon, and the YouTube join function are all options available to you. Please come back and see us again, and don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side.